Hi, my name is Ankur. I'm from the Shriram School at Ravi. As a student, believe that there should be more youth leaders so that we can relate to the population as youth because we are the youngest, we have the most young population. So I think there should be more, like, we have Rahul Gandhi, we need more people like at a younger age because we can't relate to people like who are elder than us.
When you're in school, a lot of you have ambitions about what you want to do. I'm sure doctors, lawyers, and the world. So what's blocking you from thinking of from political ambition?
My name is Arushi. I'm from Shriram School at Ravi. Well, answering her question, why educated Indians don't go to vote, is as a perspective, it's just a perspective. Like a few years ago, I thought when I'll be 18, I won't vote either because I think it was pretty useless if you talk it. Because if I vote, I know for a fact before election start, I know who's going to rule the government. Because I thought my vote won't make such a big change. Because it won't change. And why I don't want to go into politics. Like I want to be a doctor. Everybody thinks I want to be a doctor. I want to be an engineer. Why don't youth say I want to be a politician? It's because politician as a field has become so dirty and it's become so corrupted. Like it's only about selfish. Politicians, as a politician, if you want to become a politician, you need to put the nation before like yourself. And today in politician, you can look at any politician. Okay, not any politician, but some major politicians. They're putting themselves before the nation. How are you a politician then? Because you're supposed to think about the nation, the youth, the rural, the people who are being neglected. That's what being a politician. That's why I like a few years ago, I don't want to go into politics either because it's being so exploited, it's being so dirty. Why would I want to not ruin my life, but go into a field where there's so much, where it's ruled by corruption. It's ruled by corruption.
First of all, we have to be very careful before we say that Rahul Gandhi is like that or somebody else is like that. You have to be extraordinarily careful. I'm just saying that I have no personal knowledge about Mr. Rahul Gandhi although his sister is my neighbor in Gurgaon and she comes there on the weekends, so we get to see her and her husband. But we have to be very careful before we say Sachin Pilot is like that or Scindia is like that or somebody is like that. Because first of all, we have to get authentic information about all these people because otherwise a lot of PR stuff happens in this country. And we have to be very careful before we get swayed by young looking, nice looking people who make promises. They are as dicey as all the other people who may be very ugly looking and frail but who might be much more honest. A case like an Anna Hazare, a simple soldier from the Indian Army, just because he is a very honest guy who did work in one small village in the country, suddenly he is able to challenge everybody. Why? Because he has nothing to lose. And he is an extraordinarily honest man. That's all. He is not very brilliant or very capable. But one good, honest person can shake the entire Gandhi family, for instance. So I want us to first of all be very careful before we buy anything like that.
Just following on what the people below said, that the youth today basically perceive politicians as, money grubbing or, basically people who don't really serve the country and don't carry out the civic duty. Now many of us consider the day when we vote a place where we have to carry out a civic duty and a duty to the nation in order to choose our leaders. That's what it was meant to be. But now if it falls on a Friday, it's considered to be a long weekend. With regards to, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, as he put out, we have to understand that even Mr. Gandhi himself isn't what exactly you define as young. He is in his 40s and the President of the United States himself is also in his 40s. So it is all a very relative.
That's right.
So it is all a very, very relative assumption. But basically, as a person living in urban India and a person talking about the politics today, we don't see too many people, whom we can relate to as such.
See, the larger question is not just about whether to vote or to respect politicians or not. The main thing is how do we take responsibility for reforms in a number of ways. Electoral reform is one, political reform in terms of it going on to judicial reform, electoral reform. There are many big ticket items on the table which we can't wish away. So I think there are significant things of reforms required and we have to change, and the question we have to ask is, what can each one of us do to take responsibility?
One of the things that corporate India keeps talking about is the quality of skilled talent out there. As a young person studying and working in an MBA or whatever your education, What do you think about the skill talent shortage in India and how are we addressing it?
Earlier in the 90s, the problem was brain drain. Nowadays, everyone, all the talent is coming back to India, seeing that India is the next big thing which is changing India. But yeah, there is a problem of skill, the shortage of skills in some part of it. In business front, the quality of people we are developing is not that good. We have an engineering college in almost every nook and corner of our country, but the quality of education they are providing is not good.
What's lacking?
Sorry?
What do you think is lacking from your
Yeah,
perspective?
the lacking is the quality of the faculty, the quality of course. We focus too much on theory. Like I am an engineer, which I didn't want to go into my classroom. There was too much theory. I wanted to do something different, like do something practical, know what it's really doing the things really. But that's where we lack.
In fact, India has, in fact, with a lot of other countries also where we recruit, we find that. But the reason is exactly what is echoed earlier, is our education system is so very theoretical. It's so very distant from the actual world. And by the time you recruit, so for example, I care of who's which institution you come from, right? X, Y, or Z, or the top institute, or this thing. I want to hear what value you bring to the table.
Any questions because I'm just aware that we have like 5 panelists, so any questions for now?
See, we talk in economics about demographic dividend, which comes from a young population, an educated population, but too often we forget, and I think that is an important point for a country like India, which is almost standing at crossroads at the moment, that a young population can be a tremendous dividend if it is skilled, if it is trained and in good health. But it becomes an enormous liability. It can lead to revolutions if it is frustrated, ill-trained, is not able to cope with the demands which a particular job imposes upon a person. So in this context, I would like to ask our esteemed panelists as to what can be done to improve the skill sets of young people so that they can compete not only with the best in our own country, set up new benchmarks in our own country, but compete with the best in the world.
First of all, Hardyal should have introduced himself. Hardyal is a role model for every young person here. He was a member of the National Vigilance Commission, Chief Income Tax Officer, Ombudsperson for Mumbai, and one of the cleanest, most honest government servants ever. So the reason he comes and teaches in soil is because he is deeply committed to the school. And when he asked this question, you should know the background from where he comes and the kind of work that he has done in the country, right? Now the second thing I want to say about why Hardyal is persuading us to ask this question is, see, there are 3 questions in education. One is knowing. The knowing part is very simple. But the second part is doing, which means connecting every knowing to doing, which means lots of projects. I believe all the schools here, which are some of the better schools here, so you always have projects to apply what you know. That's very important. But the third is being. Being is learning to know yourself and learning to value what truly is important to you, because that comes out of self-knowledge of what are you good at doing and what is your life's purpose. At a young age, you have to become your own best friend, to say, what is my inner voice? Because there is an inner voice inside every human being which guides you. And if you learn to listen to it, it tells you this is what you are meant for. When you get that, then the work that you do is exceptional. Because you love that, because it's your inner guidance. See, because you have come to this planet for a particular purpose, and you should be aware of that. Human birth doesn't come to people just like that. You have come with a purpose, and you have been blessed by the Lord with the gifts to realize that purpose. So when you do that, this aspect in education of helping people to develop that enthusiasm and love for what we do is very important. So the being part of education. The knowing part, unfortunately, is emphasized too much at the cost of the doing, which are the skills, and the being, which is self-knowledge and understanding how to get the best out of yourself. When you put all three together, you have exceptional education. And I think that's what we are attempting to do here. And we are trying to do that at the skill level. When you are teaching vocational skills, same aspect. You have to give that person a pride in carpentry whom you are teaching carpentry. Or a beauty parlor person must love the job, and she should know I am really interested in that. Then you are building vocational skills. No job is big or small. It's the attitude we bring to it. And so the education has to answer.
Excellent. I think with that we'll kind of need to wrap up. There's I think a 10 or 15 minute facilitation which is good, and while compared to walking to logistics about how that is, there's always the saying, it's great to talk, but you need to put some action behind that. And for the action, an action plan needs to be developed. I'd encourage you when you hear what the facilitation is about to think about some of the things that need to drive us as Indians when we're thinking of India in global context. What will keep India able to sustain the growth that it has and reach its full potential, hopefully prolong the time when it reaches its peak, if you like, but do it in a responsible manner and be respected as global citizens. And I think a couple of panelists, and you mentioned as well, retaining the charm of India in the same time.
Thank you, Charles, for such a wonderful and engaging intellectual discussion. So we touched upon some very diverse points, such as we started with, Rustam mentioned that youth of today needs to identify and understand what India is known for. The sense of simplicity and the sense of humility. And I'm really glad that, one point in time we also discussed that youth needs to understand their purpose in life. So that was a larger question that we were trying to address, and really, through the discussion we had some good points flowing in. So now, after this thought-provoking discussion, I would like to request you to quickly subdivide yourselves into 3 groups with 2 panelists in each subgroup. So what you'll do is, after this thought-provoking discussion, what is the action item? What are you determined to do? A small change, a large change, anything. What is that one thing that you would like to do right now? What is that one thing that you would like to take ownership for? So please quickly disperse into 3 groups. Probably we can have one group here. Sir and probably Rustam can have one group, and then we can have Charles and Chandler you can take, and probably Meenu ma'am and sir you can take. So quickly disperse into 3 groups, and then one, let's say two person from each group would come up and write the determination on the determination wall. We'll have 10-12 minutes for this activity.
So actually they are getting the days to their action every day, so they don't send their students. They are teaching almost will not get to be considered. They think that they will be then more interested in studying and education, and that will cost them instead of getting 100 days a day, which they will do. And from
the political system. How many votes are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He wants to vote political system.
Whatever, you earn millions, make lots of money, you're happy for a certain period of time. And if you help others, you're happy for a certain period of time, but the happiness ends. So, I mean, most of the people know, or most of the people who are educated into Vedanta and Yoga know that whatever you do ends up with Vedanta or Yoga. So why don't people, like in general, understand that Vedanta or Yoga is good for you? Why don't they, what do you say, inculcate knowledge of Yoga and Vedanta inside them? Or why don't the adults tend to force their children to practice a little yoga or get initiated into yoga or Vedanta?
Now, I'm not too good at math. I'm in class 10th presently, and I have literally destroyed my brain because of math. And I've been practicing math since so long, filling pages full of calculations and everything. I concur with you. Yeah. Exactly. So, it's actually an alien language. Where am I going to show those 2 pages? So, instead of bifurcating yourself into streams of subjects in class 11th, I think it should be done earlier. So that is
from the British period of time. We still follow that. We don't have new rules. We only have few amendments. Correct? So we need to have our own new rules, which I have been talking about, which are more in sync with the modern times, sync with our expectations, sync with the growing economy. We also have old fallacies like
but the kind of experience that we gave was I wouldn't give that up just so I think what you're talking about, someone mentioned that maybe not necessarily it was about the blind example that you gave. I think we're talking about maybe the model of education as an experiential model. The mindset of students going great to change. Then how exactly? No one's mentioning something which I think is or not the wildest, the biggest idea this year. If you see the biggest idea, when you start talking about it, it inspires you to do the little idea. This is more of the practical knowledge based in the theoretical knowledge. Like, they should think about the inventions, like nobody does this.
If you are very interested in doing something about that, I can introduce you to somebody who is actually given us the job of a CEO of the company and he wants to dedicate the rest of his life.
In 10th standard, if I get best marks and scored well in 12th, but I don't even able to make admission in a good MBA college. Why we are not giving opportunities like if you are good in singing, you have to give some marks for singing. If you are good in sports, you have to give some marks in sports. Why it is not happening?
We had different perspectives in the session. As in one was on the educational front by Mr. Charles and Maryal sir, that we need to bring on more mentorship initiatives and also the 3-step process of change management of knowing, doing and being. So it's like a process, as it is said, each drop of water kindles fire. Similarly, every inspiring thought inspires and instills eager minds today, tomorrow and in the future. Now I would request 2 people from each of the groups, each of the 3 groups, to come and present their thoughts of what they've decided to bring on a change.
Yes, so what we discussed on the individual front was, firstly we wanted to bring some changes, reforms in the education sector. So the point I would like to discuss with all of you, that we wanted to bring a change in the higher school education. We suggested them that it is very necessary that before pointing out the education system, they themselves need to be very clear about what they want to be in their life and what are the self-initiatives they are taking on their part. So for that, the basic thing we told them was like individually they spend time on parties, etc. So when they want to get a connect with the real world, they can make an individual effort from their side, from part of their daily routine. They should not only get, their youth should not only get connected with the social sites like Facebook, but also with sites like LinkedIn, wherein they can get a link with the corporate sectors. And secondly, in the school, the interest areas, both wherever the student has an interest towards the medical field, sports, business, wherever the student has his or her interest, the student should basically make the clubs in the school wherein they can discuss their knowledge, bring inputs and promote the culture in the school and the colleges.
We had 2 broader pictures of the discussion. What she explained was the individual part. Actually, when we started discussing, we had this question, where should the implementation be done? On the individual side or the larger policy picture? So on the individual front, what she said, students need to identify the ambition. Now once you identify the ambition, you work upon that. You persuade your teachers towards that. You persuade your parents towards that. And Sir guided us towards ending the inherent Indian hypocrisy. Now, such identification of ambition and working towards that will end the hypocrisy which exists culturally, politically, socially. So this was the individual front. On the larger policy side picture, we had these ideas that the very first step should be the reform of primary education curriculum. The curriculum which is taught at the level of primary education, it needs to be reformed. Only then we can tell students of this age that you need to do this. But once the seeds are sown that way, you already become entrepreneurs, you already become value-based, humble young brains.
Hi, I'm Siddhant Bajaj from Modern School Barakumbha Road, and while we were having that discussion, we hit upon the topic of counselling. Now, counselling, as you'll all be aware, is done in many schools at this point in time, but it's a very restricted field. It is only handled by academicians in some areas or maybe someone else. What we spoke of right now was wholesome counselling. Actually, people who can come, who can counsel you, who can tell you that whatever you are doing in school, whatever you're learning, where it can help you in life, how it can help you in life, and how it will affect your future life. For example, before starting this discussion, I was very confused. It's a personal example, and we have deliberated upon it for quite some time. I'm weak at math. So, and I had this ardent desire to drop maths, and I'm in class 10 right now. Now, if there is actually, and yeah, I see no practical usage in life of those long trigonometry chapters and those long half-page register workings and all. So now if there is actually someone who comes, who makes me sit down and who makes me think about it, and who tells me where it can be used, how it can be used, where it will be beneficial for me in my life, and what is the practical usage of it, and how I can benefit from it.
Our group also discussed how in the academic system in high school and in probably primary school as well, instead of just focusing on the grade aspect and say on your 10th pass board you only have, okay, I got a 92.4, I got a 95%, or in your 12th board you have, I got a 95, I got a 93. That should be 50% or whatever, some percentage that is counted, and the other part is what you experience. So instead of just having one internship in a firm or in an organization, you should have more internships. Say if I want to do history, and I want to do archaeology, then I should, in class 11 and 12, I should get to work under an archaeologist and see what my lifestyle would be like and what I'd get to do. And then they should be able to, so now if I work under an archaeologist, they will then be able to say, okay, will I be good at it? They should, and in my college entrance, that they can write me a letter of recommendation that, okay, she wants to do archaeology and she will be good at it. Or if I want to do math, then I should be able to work under someone who's doing actuaries or the stock market and say, okay, so I have an interest in maths, I want to get into the stock market, work in Wall Street, and I should be able to intern there. They should be able to tell me, okay, you're going to be good at this and this is what you're going to do, and that should count as 50% or 30% of what I apply to college and what they look at as well. Our action plan for doing both of these points is we're going to make a document whenever, and propose it to the Ministry of Education in India and also to the corporate sector, say NASSCOM or CII, and then go forward from there.
Hi, I'm Deepika Mathur from the Sriram School at Agri, and today one of the most important ideas that we put forward was that we should educate the underprivileged children, people who don't have enough money, enough resources to get the same opportunities as we do. Developing one part, say urban India, will not help us in overall development. I think education needs to be extended to the rural population, to everyone who wants to learn, so that we can develop India's talent, India's potential and India's skill at a national level. That would help in every field. Say today we were discussing how people, the poor people, the rural people, don't really know who to vote for. They vote for whoever has the loudest voice. But if they were educated, they'd know who to vote for, who'd actually help the country and help us benefit in every field. And then they would vote for the right leader. So democracy would proceed in its true sense.
The second thing that I had discussed was about chasing our dreams, about how we should first recognize about taking that first step. For example, somebody in our group wanted to do something in liberal arts. Somebody was there who did not take fashion, which she actually yearned for. There's a teacher in history who's very glad about the fact that she's teaching history. And there's somebody like me who's confused about what my dream is and what are the steps that I should take to realize my dreams. So here in this discussion, I guess the one important thing that I have learned is it is important to realize what your dreams are and then go for them. Chase them and not let that that fire to die.
I now take the opportunity to thank all the eminent speakers and a special thanks for moderator Charles And I would request Anand sir to present them with the mementos.
I want to honor Sachin for your taking the time, as you are in an industry where speed is God and time is devil.
Yes, sir.
And in that industry you turn up and you invest your Saturday, so really want to thank you. And I think you speak straight the way it is, and no, you don't hold your punches and you sort of say directly. So I just want to honor that part of your. So let's give Sachin a big hand. I really love your authenticity and the commitment you have for your cause, and every word that you speak inspires everyone around you. So I just want to tell you how special you are, and thank you for giving us a chance to be associated with you. So thank you. Let's give her a hand. There is my friend, you've gone there. So I not only like your wonderful hair and your tremendous energy, reminds me of the famous tabla player, which of course we all know. But thank you for you spoke very little, but you spoke in a very authentic way, and I really like that authenticity. So thank you. Let's give a big hand. And my friend Rustam, like Rustam the Great. So I'm sure your parents kept the name Rustam the Great. Rustam stands for courage, and you have taken the courage to walk on this path less traveled. And you are a great role model for all these young people. So thank you for coming to SOIL. I hope many of our alumni become like you and they choose to do what you do. So it's absolutely amazing. Thank you. There are the mementos. Yes, so we can start from here.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. How can I not forget you? You are the one who should be tremendous to others. Thank you. Thank you.
May I now please invite the youngest student here? Who was the youngest student? Okay.
You are younger than him by a few days? Few months. Few months. So go with him then.
Is there a generation gap?
Sir, can we have you here as well? They would be presenting the memento to you.
Oh.
Can we have the memento?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being such a wonderful audience. I think we all deserve a big round of applause for all the inspired leaders in this room.